4, 3, 2, 1.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point you realize you married into crazy. And that's what our show is all about. If your marriage or relationship is compassionate, real, accountable, zealous and yielding, or just plain crazy, Snooks and Lovey offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as they unpack this thing called marriage. Sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
I'm Lovey.
And we are married into crazy.
Amen. Amen. But listen, everybody, from honeymoon mishaps
to unforgettable family vacations.
Look, travel can be a test for any relationship.
Yep. And today we're going to be sharing some of the most outrageous and crazy experiences that we've had.
Absolutely. But along the way, there's going to be a few messages here and there, right? That's going to be able to get across some of these actionable things. Definite points that we want to take a look at that can benefit all of our marriages.
But first...
She's stepping all over me. Go ahead, girl. Go do your thing.
I was just going to say, but first we want you guys to remember the Winter Ball and Marriage Conference is coming up February 7th and 8th. And the seventh dinner tickets we're completely sold out. Yay. But we do have tickets for the 8th, the one-day event only for February 8th. You can still go online to marriedintocrazy.com, click on the Winter Tab Ball, and then purchase your one-day ticket. We have a variety of speakers. We've been saying Dr. Eric Thomas, E.T.
E.T.'s going to be in the house.
It's going to be in the house.
And actually, you know what? Not just E.T., but his incredible bride, Dee Dee.
And Dee Dee's coming.
She is the wind behind his sails. You see E.T., doing his thing, but he would not be able to do any of that if it wasn't for Dee Dee. And yes, the bride, his queen, will be in the house as well.
That's right.
And of course, we've got other speakers.
Yep.
We have the Swanigans. We have the Winrows.
We have the Dickersons.
The Mohammeds. And of course, the Kaysons.
And Eva.
Yes. Eva's flying solo on this one, but she is going.
Okay, she's a force by herself.
Amen. So. Amen. It's going to be a great time. So definitely go out there and get your tickets. You have until February 5th to get your tickets, right? So the first night for the one-day ticket for the Saturday event only because the formal banquet and winter ball is sold out. So we're done with that. And but if you want to actually see the event, we do have space. Get your tickets. Like she said, go to marriedintocrazy.com, click on that winter ball tab, and all the instructions are there.
Right.
So we talked about travel, right? So over the course of the last several years, a number of years, actually, the very first thing we're going to talk about.
28 years. 28
years ago. We're going to talk about how some things that we come across in travel, you get so keyed up and excited, like, can't wait, and you're looking forward to it. And then it goes to hell in a handbasket real quick.
Yeah, so like you said, when we do talk about these things, there are going to be some life lessons, or not even life lessons, but just lessons in general. We get so excited about so many things, and just because we're excited about it and we're going to a destination or whatever, that does not mean everything is going to go as planned. As in our relationships, everything does not always go as planned. So do we pack up and leave, or do we settle in there and get going?
No, you have to be flexible, right? Last time we talked about being more vulnerable and for other things, but you also have to be flexible and be willing to actually kind of morph, come up with plan B. As Terrell Muhammad will talk about, having a flex schedule, being able to flex in the moment and, come up with something to do differently. So let's go back. So do you want to start this, or you want me to?
I'll let you start.
Okay. So for those of you that know me.
I'll interject when needed, though. I'm just putting that out.
And I'll jump back in when she's telling the wrong story.
I always correct him, but go ahead.
No, what's funny is, okay, so when we got married, I think when people get married, there's for some, there's a traditional money dance where, the bride gets money, pinned to her. And for some, the husband gets pinned to her. If you're hanging out with some of your African friends, they got money guns. They're sitting there shooting up, money just flying, and it's hitting the table or on the ground. People in the family swooping it up, putting it in garbage bags. They know how to party.
Right. Shout out to Uzo and Tony.
We had a blast. But anyway, But you generally collect some funds, and people donate money or give things to help you out. So here's what we did. We were broke as a joke when we first got married. And for us, big baller status was we're going to go to Las Vegas. And we're going to have a great time on a budget.
So we weren't broke as a joke.
I was.
Okay,
she wasn't.
Okay. So I guess that would make us we then, because we became one. So
amen.
Husband
She was partially broke as a joke. But I kind of, me being the man and me doing what I thought I was supposed to do as a husband, I was like, okay, look here, babe. Here's what we're going to do.
He kind of said it like that too. But
I was like, look, we got this money, but we ain't going to spend it all, right? So we're going to get up here in Vegas and I'm going to set a budget, a daily budget. So I'm going to give you some cash. Definitely have it, but I want you to have some fun with it. But I want you to have a good time. And I'm going to keep the rest of it in my pocket. And so that way I can keep an eye on the money and we make sure that, we have our allowance per day so we can have, a moderately great time.
I should have known back then. I got to have control over everything, but go ahead.
So no, you can pick up here. You can pick up at this point.
But okay, so you just brought up something else I totally forgot about. I didn't remember that part. I was thinking about the dinner. So we're in MGM, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And
no,
so,
were we in MGM or were we?
Oh, I'm sorry, no. New York, New York, New York just opened.
So we had so our big baller status. I didn't know any difference. I was like, oh, it's a new hotel. We're gonna go stay at the New York.
Yeah.
And it was the grand opening.
Mm-hmm.
So to be honest with you, I didn't even know it was the grand opening.
I didn't either.
We just booked it because it was like, oh, this is fun. It's a new one. And it's not like we've really been to Vegas. I'd been to Vegas one time before then.
Actually, we were supposed to go to Monte Carlo, remember? And then I don't know why, but then you changed it to New York.
And so we get there, and when we pull up, there is a line wrapped
around the
all
corner.
the way around. Now, if you've been to Vegas, you know where the New York is if you've been to Vegas. Imagine a line that's going around the building, around the block. And I mean, we're talking like hundreds of people that are in line. And when we get there with our luggage, and mind you, we just literally got married. We just got off the plane. The day before we got married, we arrive in Vegas and we pull up and I'm like, oh my God, we got to get in this line with our luggage. And then this guy walks up and says, are you staying here or just visiting? And we said, staying here. This brother opened up the red carpet. There was a red carpet walking up to the entrance of the New York. And he says something like, welcome to the grand opening of the New York. And I was like, big baller shot collar.
He gonna say, babe, see, you would keep riding with me. He said something along those lines like, yeah, stick with me, babe. Something like that. Anyway, go ahead.
Yep. So that's when I at that point, I think as we were walking in, I was reiterating my instructions. Now look here, chick, you gonna get some money. And we gonna make a ride. And
so anyway, so we get in there, we get checked in, but our room wasn't ready yet. No biggie, whatever. So we kind of gambled around a little bit. I remember we went upstairs, put our luggage away, then we came back downstairs. Mm-hmm. So I ain't gonna lie, I've always been like a gambler. I have been to Reno, whatever, Vegas, and I loved the slot machine. So Lovey was like, okay, don't spend all the money, because we got to be here for X amount of days. Okay, cool. I'm doing my own thing because I like to go by myself and do my own thing. So here comes Lovey. He was like, so how you doing or whatever? I was like, I'm cool. So let's, we walking around looking at different slot machines. There was this big giant one. And he said, okay, I put money in it. And I was like, oh, I don't know for sure how to work this, but I got a little bit back. I was like, let me take this money out because I don't know what I'm doing. Enter Ernest Kaysen Jr. He puts $100 bill into the machine and he clicks a button or he does something. And he pulled the machine, the handle down. And we're sitting there looking like, okay, what's going on? What happened? Whatever he did, he spent the whole $100 on that one pool. I was like, how did I not hit the jackpot on this one? What in the heck?
Attitude shift immediately. At this point, everybody in the building, including whoever built that machine, that was the devil. All of them. They could all go to hell for all I cared. The look in my eye, I was ready to burn the whole place down.
So we get back upstairs. Now he's mad. Like he said, attitude shift. We're on our honeymoon, right? Attitude shift, whatever. I was like, babe, okay, cool down, chill out, whatever. He spent the majority of the money that first night.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you telling me.
Yeah. I said that there's going to be an allotment, each day, whatever. I think I spent 3/4 of the money
on that one night
in the first 2 hours that we were there.
So not later on, but then a couple days later, what's a couple days? Yeah. He had a cousin that lived out there, and we're like, okay, let's go out to dinner. They had this one restaurant. It was called the Rosewood Grill. At every bus stop, there was a picture of the guy holding this big giant lobster. And I kept saying, that's all I want. I just want to go there. I don't care what else we do. I want to go there.
I even think there was a picture in one of the billboards with like Wayne Newton with this dude.
Was that? Yeah. Something
and
like that.
And dude was holding up this massive lobster.
It was humongous. And I love lobster. I was like, I want to go there. So.
Enters Big Baller Shot Caller. And I was like, okay, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. Let me call my cousin Anthony. He was my best man, right? My first cousin. He's the eldest of all the grands. And I was like, let's take him out to dinner. Just say thank you. So Anthony's like, yeah, no problem. So, he meets us down there on the strip. And, we go. We meet up at this restaurant. And we proceed. I should have known things were going to go wrong when you walk into the building. And they immediately handed her a rose. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like a fake rose. It was a really nice rose. And I'm looking at it like, okay. And all of a sudden I'm looking around the room and I feel like I'm in the presence of like the mobsters and gangsters.
Yeah.
Because it had that old mafioso feel.
Dark.
Like there was some old money up in there.
Mm-hmm. If smoking was allowed, they would have been smoking in there. It was kind of like that. They took my coat. We sat down and
first place we ever went where they did a coat check. Because I'm like looking at them like taking her coat like, what's up?
So we eat. I I ordered my lobster. They had whatever they had. I was cool with it. So then, we get the bill. And Lovey was like, oh, Anthony says, how much do I owe you or for my portion? He's like, no, we got it. No big deal. Puts his credit card down. The guy comes back and said it was declined.
Credit card declined. I was like, bruh, that's a debit card. You better go run that again. So he went back, ran it again.
It's still declined.
Still declined. And then to get that look, that little smug look like,
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, I don't know what's going on.
I was mortified. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to go to jail because.
If you've ever been in a situation where you've been at the grocery store and you're kind of like slowly using your debit card because you're not quite sure if you're going to be able to buy the groceries you need because you're not sure if there's enough money in there. It was that feeling times 10. And for those of you that never felt that, I hope you never feel that feeling. And so our cousin goes, Anthony is like, oh, don't worry about it. I got it. I'm like, okay. So my cousin takes care of it. I'm like, no, I got the money. And I kind of got the feeling he was looking at me too like,
Do you really?
Are you sure?
Know? Yeah.
And so I go and I call Wells Fargo and I can't reach anybody. And I was like, let me just get over to the ATM. I'll get over to the ATM. I'll pull some money out. Mm-hmm. We get over to another casino. I don't even remember what casino we were at.
I don't either.
And I was like, okay, there's an ATM. I go to the ATM. The machine is telling me denied. It wouldn't let me pull any money out or anything. So I finally get somebody on the phone, and it was a customer service, or actually a banker or whatever. And they were like, oh, well, you're in Las Vegas. We have to verify. It looked like it was fraudulent. and we won't be able to free up any money until tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Or they were going to open the account. This is back in 1997.
You better know.
So they wouldn't open it up till the next day. Like they just wouldn't just hit a button and you're good to go in that moment. So the rest of the night, let me just say this: re-enter the attitude. I was heated at this point. I hate Las Vegas.
Anthony's chill. I'm trying to get Lovey out of his funk. He's just like he didn't want to do anything until 12:01. He made Anthony stay out with us until after midnight. 12:01 came. He was able to pull the money out, and so he gave Anthony the money back. But I was like, oh, okay. And I'm gonna just keep it real. Since that day, whenever it was cause to use the debit card, the Versatile card, whatever, Lovey would always be like, we got money, right? We got money, right? It's like he was traumatized and scarred from it. And I'm like, babe, what are you doing? We got the money. He goes, I hate that feeling. I hate that feeling. I'm like, that was 20 years ago. So for a very long time, trauma. He just was like, we got the money, right? We got the money. Oh my gosh. Like, yes, we got the money.
And there's going to be things in your relationship where you're going to end up getting traumatized, and I'm not saying it might not be finances, might not be, relationship, or it might just be an experience with a family member, or it might be, you go someplace that reminds you of something, whatever. It takes time to get over those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so in situations like that, as the other person, who's gotten over it, I had to learn to give him grace because it didn't affect me as much as it affected Lovey. I don't know why. I was just like, oh, okay, things happen like that. Maybe because I worked in mortgage banking, I knew that, these situations can occur. I wasn't really tripping that we didn't have the cash because I knew there was money in the bank, but he was just so traumatized. So I had to be very patient with him and just give him grace whenever we had to go somewhere and he was pulling that card out. I almost saw sweat beating on his forehead. Like, we got the money, right? It's
like those cartoons. You can see my heart coming up through the shirt. Dum, 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 dum.
So, that's just a lesson, and everyone doesn't go through it or get through it as quickly as another person. Everyone, you work at your own speed, but have some grace when the other person is still going through it. And you've gotten over it. It may take them a little while.
True that. And that wasn't the first time. Well, that was the first time.
I was like, that was
our
Unless
first
that was
major
your other
trip
family.
Did I take them that other
Did
time?
you take them? I don't know.
No, but that was our first major trip together. And then it was just like all bad. Trust me, there were good parts.
It wasn't all bad. We had fun.
It was rough, but there was a mindset shift that needed to take place that I wasn't prepared for. Mm-hmm. And so I definitely was not the person then that I am now, or that I was on the road to becoming, because it took me a long time to get out of the funk. Was it that trip? I think it was either that trip or a subsequent one in Vegas where it was like, I just stayed in the room. I was like, you can go gamble. I'm just staying up here.
I think it was that one.
Because I just didn't.
Oh, no. We did go gamble. That's when we were at the Venetian. Now, you said that. That reminded me. We were at the Venetian. And again, I was like, I could gamble, So Lovey was like, I'm going upstairs. I was like, okay, cool. Because my machine is hitting and I'm doing well, whatever. I came back upstairs like 2:00 in the morning, I think it was.
Yes, it was.
$600 richer. So
meanwhile, as I was walking the walk of shame from all of the machines that rejected me, and I felt like my wife rejected me too. Like, she was like, why are you, this is true. She would always say, why are you near my machine?
Why are you near my machine? Go away. Because every time, I don't know why, but whenever Lovey would come around, it's like the machine's like, oh, it's him. And it would just be funky. And I was like, you know what? After 3 pulls and nothing, or 4 pulls, nothing, you got to go. Soon as he leave, I start winning again.
Whatever. Control. But as I was doing my walk of shame, going to the room, I was cursing everybody's machine. I was like, I hope you don't make nothing. No, I hope your machine sucks and your machine, damn you machine. I was just like walking around like, I cursed this machine, all the way up to my room. Even it's like, ridiculous. I saw room service and I don't even want room service to work for you. I was so mad. But it changed over time. But that wasn't the only time that we've had like a really bad scenario. There was a time we went to the Bahamas.
Oh, but that was the absolute funnest time I've ever had at the beach. It was so scary, but it was so much fun. We went in 2019. Our nephew graduated from high school, and we went on a cruise to the Bahamas. And so we packed the van, and it was all of us. We went out to the beach, and we get out there. First, it's all hot and burning up, and then we get out there. Started raining. No, after we went up to the, what is that? Parasailing. So we were parasailing, Lovey and I, and then it was like, oh, it's starting to rain. And the rain started hurting because it started coming down hard. And then it was hard, but it wasn't like it kept coming. It was very sporadic.
But at first, I felt like BBs. Like we were just getting shot left and right. It was like, pew, 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 pew. And I'm like, this is not fun. And the guys are down there smiling in the boats. Yeah, man, hey, you having a good time? And I'm like, hell no, not having a good time. I'm up here for target practice. God shooting BBs at me.
Oh my gosh. So off in the distance, very, very far off in the distance, you see nothing but black. And it was like, oh, it was at the Atlantis. It was by the Atlantis. I was like, ooh, that's a storm. And I'm thinking, we're far away from that. It's not coming towards us. So the girls go up with my sister-in-law. So we started heading back to our spot. Then it really started to rain. So we're like, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to leave. And no one else was leaving the beach. So we had wanted to jet ski. It's like, well, you know what? We're already wet. We're going to be in the water. So let's just jet ski. So we get on there, we start jet skiing, and the rain starts really coming down. Lovey was driving crazy. I fell over in the ocean. I thought I was going to die. Oh, I was so mad at him. And there's the guys that, what are those guys?
Like safety guys.
Yeah, the safety guys. I mean, they were there like
selling.
that. Yeah. They were there like that. As soon as I looked up, I don't see my husband. I see another man. Lovey somewhere else. I'm like, really? So he takes us back to the shore. I was like, I'm done. I don't want to get on no more. So they go out. They're still out there having fun. Next thing you know, we see lightning. I was like, uh-oh.
Lightning started striking the ocean.
First, it was in the water.
Yeah,
right?
It was in the ocean.
Yeah, it was out in the ocean. Lightning was coming down.
And you know something's wrong when the guys that live there are freaking out. You see them jumping up and down, waving at you, talking about,
come in.
And they're doing it frantically. We're like, oh, okay, well.
And I'm there because my mom is on the beach. And so I'm there. I was like, oh my God, it's starting to really, really come down. And then the lightning starts coming down the beach. Choo. Like it was like, yeah, it was like it was coming after us, I
was like, what the heck?
That was so crazy. So everybody started screaming and running. It was like a movie. So
the sky opened up. It's pouring now, right? We're getting drenched. Like somebody just started pouring buckets of water. So there's one hotel or a resort that was right there on the beach. It was the
RIU.
Yeah, the RIU was there. And they had these beautiful steps that went all the way up. Well, there were no longer beautiful steps because it was now a waterfall.
It looked like a waterfall.
These steps, people were trying to walk up it and they were falling and coming back down. Yeah. And the water was coming down. It looked like a flood, right? That was coming down. We're like, what the heck is going on? So everyone's running. And the umbrellas that were on the beach,
oh my gosh,
they were like stationary umbrellas, but they were metal. And my sister decides that she's going to stand under one of the umbrellas. So my nephew is screaming, Mama.
He starts
calling by her first name.
Lynette,
get away from the umbrella. And she's like, huh? It's raining. We're like, it is metal, girl. Get away from there. And then so he finally runs over, gets her. People are losing their shoes.
We're running. We're trying to run and grab all our stuff. And my mom, Lovey had my mom. I had her on the other side. Then my daughter comes, Ashanti. She came and she grabbed her because I'm grabbing all the stuff. I'm barefoot. And then I step in a puddle. Oh my God. All I was like, I need a tetanus shot because I don't know what's in the puddle. It was just, it just felt so gross and nasty. So we're running like, trying to not run too hard because my mom, and so we started getting down the hill and this cement, and by the time we got down there, it stopped raining.
Yeah.
And all these people, everybody's out of breath. We're like, oh my gosh, this big old giant storm, and it just passed over us. And we stood there, we looked at each other, and we just fell out laughing. Oh my gosh, it was so crazy. We're totally drenched, and bags got sand. It was nasty. You feel all nasty and gross. So we had to go around to the front of the hotel and wait for the cab drivers to come. And it was like I swear it was like 100 people outside.
And one of the cab drivers that dropped us off actually gave me his card. But when we were drenched, right? That thing was wet. It was we put it in a bag, but that thing, like you could barely read the number. So our niece was like, okay, trying to dry it off so she could actually see the numbers. She finally got it dried off a little bit. So we called the number, and the guy was like, okay, I'll be there in a little bit. People were just leaving in droves, and we're sitting up there waiting. Mm-hmm. But that was that was scary. That was one of the scariest events, and fun.
Yeah.
When it was all said and done.
It was so scary, but it was, like Lovey said, fun. But I think about that sometimes, just kind of trying to give a parallel to like relationships. Sometimes that you think that there's all this chaos and it's like, and later you realize like, dang, I was upset for no reason. Not that wasn't a reason, because the storm did pass, but in relationships, you're going to have storms, and those storms are going to pass. Are you going to be able to look back at it and laugh about it and let it bring you closer? Or are you going to let that storm, whatever it was, tear you apart?
Absolutely. And it's that whole phrase. For the longest time in our relationship, we would always say, this too shall pass. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had to, because we went through quite a few storms, and apparently we're still going through storms. Not right now, but
I'm like, really? You got something you want to tell me about?
No, just, really something like with Kaylin and raising our grandchild, our grandson. And it just, the storms are going to come. It's not a matter of if, it's when. And when those pop up, you have to recognize that storms aren't meant to stay. They will pass, but you have to weather the storm. Yeah. And your attitude is going to help tremendously in your ability to be able to do that. And recognize it's just a moment. If we could look at a lot of the situations that we go through on a daily basis, just right now, in the moment, being present, this is now. But if I just keep standing, it'll pass. And one of these vacations teaches that. And then you learn over time that, you know what, I can get through this. Mm-hmm. Because even once you get past it, you're going to realize that, man, remember that time I thought we were going to die.
Yeah.
Or, that's something horrible. Think about all the times in your life. Just take a moment to reflect right now. You can do it individually, or you can reflect upon your relationship. And try and think of a moment where you thought there was no way we're getting through this. How many times has that happened in your life when you thought, this is it? I can't do this anymore. And yet here you are, listening to a podcast or watching the podcast. You've gotten through so many different things. Whatever comes your way, this too shall pass.
Yep.
And we're using vacations as, talking about these disasters. In the moment, it was like an absolute disaster. The most recent one, last year, we went to Mexico.
We did. Oh, yeah. We did go to Mexico.
And we talked about, we wanted to do something fun. And, Snooks was cool. She was like, oh. She's like, we talked about how she allowed us to go on a zip lining trip. Mm-hmm. And that was a blast. That was a great time. So, you meet in the middle. I thought, okay, well, she likes to go to shows and all of that. So we'll go to this show. And we'll go on this like cruise to a show, to another island. And we'll hang out. And when we got on the boat, it was beautiful.
Beautiful outside.
I mean, we were out there on the deck with other couples, and we're taking selfies with the sunset in the background and the beautiful water, and you've got, the Gulf. It was just absolutely beautiful. It was paradise. Mm-hmm. And then off in the distance,
again,
there was like little dark spot. I'm like, what is that over there?
What is that?
And it kept getting bigger and bigger. And then, but meanwhile, all of us on the boat, we're drinking, having a good time.
It's like the Titanic. Everyone's having a great time until all
of a sudden you start to see the crew moving around kind of fast.
Yeah.
They're bouncing around. Next thing you know, a guy comes over with the microphone like, okay, well, it looks like we're heading into a storm. It might get a little choppy. He said a little choppy.
It was crazy.
It was like somebody just flipped the switch, turn the lights off. Mm-hmm. One moment, it's beautiful. The next moment, flip.
Yep. We had
dark.
to, they had to seal up the outer portion and try to keep the rain from pelting on us. And the island, when we got to the island, was dark outside. So walking up on a hill, it's muddy and there's just mud coming down. I'm looking super cute.
I could have swore off in the distance I heard Jumanji music.
Man, I was like, we're on Skull Island right now. That's what it felt like. But, at the end of that, excuse me, the show went on. We ate dinner. Dinner was good.
I ended up being in the show.
You did. Yep. Lovey was in the show. But, just those things, when your expectation, we're going to have a good time. This is what we planned. And then when things happen, it's like, how do you respond to the thing that happens that you didn't plan for? I wasn't dressed for any type of that situation. I was like, oh my gosh, So we get down there, we had to sit down. It was rainy. The place was rainy. It was wet, excuse me, mosquitoes. And so we had two choices. We could either sit here and enjoy ourselves, enjoy the show because the show was great, or we could sit there and be upset about the surroundings, about how we had to, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened to us. And so what did we focus on? We focused on the show. We had such a good time. Like Lovey said, he was in the show, but we had to think about, and it was funny later because even when we were on our way out, there was the pitchforks, or not pitchforks, but the torches. And I was like, I'm just waiting for King Kong to come over the hill at any moment now, but we didn't let that sour our experience. We had a great time, but in that moment we still had to there was a mind shift. I remember there was a time in my life where if that would have happened, that would have killed it. That would have crushed it for me. And I would have just been like, I cannot believe I did all this and we had to blah, 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 whatever. And I can't even focus on the stuff that's going on around me because I'm stuck in that moment of when it rained, when it ruined my shoes. I felt like when it took away from the ambiance, that's not what I wanted it to do. Sometimes things don't turn out the way that you want them to turn out, but it's still a great experience,
Food getting rained on.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even want to eat, put my feet down because I was like, ants are going to crawl on me. It was crazy. But, we still enjoyed ourselves.
We did. And that's really the essence of it all. Regardless of what storm comes or whatever the situation may be, take a step back and recognize that it's not near as bad as
probably not.
We're making it in the moment. Unless you're dodging bullets, it's probably not as bad as you're making it out to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably not.
And so that's the lesson of the day, right? That's something we want you to reflect upon. Whatever it is you're going through right now, it's 2025. It's a brand new year, new season, lots of changes taking place. Every year there's lots of changes that you have to adjust to. And you might think like, oh my God, at work, this happened and now we got to do this and I got to do that and da-da-da-da. Okay, take a step back, take a deep breath. Mm-hmm. Man, you have that job that you prayed for and it's a blessing.
You get the opportunity to learn something new.
You get the opportunity. Whereas people out there are trying to find an opportunity, you get to go there every single day. Mm-hmm. You get to wake up next to an amazing individual that may get on your nerves from time to time.
Watch it now.
But you get to wake up next to somebody that has your back. Mm-hmm. If there's a discord, like if you're just not absolutely together, there's yet another opportunity for you two to find a way, either through coaching, through therapy, going to, seeing an LMFT or an LCSW or a marriage coach like us, to go to marriage conferences, marriage retreats, to get around other like-minded couples. There's always an opportunity to invest and get better. But you have to recognize that whatever it is you're going through, again, as always, barring abuse of any sort, you can get past that. Mm-hmm. So there's opportunities there. So recognize that when things are going crazy and you think, oh my God, we're getting shot by BBs from God.
Right.
That what you're looking for is on the other side of that. You just have to get through it. So go through it, and know where the source of your strength comes from. Mm-hmm. For us, we know that God is the source.
That's right.
And we're always plugging in. As to the best of our abilities, we'll always plug in, mm-hmm. because we're just a resource, mm-hmm. and He is the source.
But I also know that I'm not going through it, not just alone, not just because I have the Lord, but because I have my husband too. He has shown himself to be
trustworthy. She was like, she didn't know what I was.
No, I was trying to say reliable, trustworthy. I can trust him. There's no doubt in my mind that I can trust him. I was thinking of that scripture, study to show thyself approved. And that wasn't what I wanted to say. I was talking about, He's shown me that. So why would I not give him the benefit of the doubt to still continue to be there?
And it goes both ways, vice versa.
Except for when he says that. Vice versa.
Apparently it's vice versa.
It is vice versa.
I don't care what that dictionary says.
Wow.
Anyway, look, thank you for hanging out with us. You could have been anywhere today. We ask that if you enjoyed this episode, that you share it with a friend. We always want to increase the viewership. We want to increase the listenership. We want to widen the audience because we want to make this conversation as broad as absolutely possible so we can share with more and more couples. And we're in the process of starting to book more and more subject matter experts as well as other couples for the remainder of 2025. So keep coming back. We'll have some guests with us from time to time, but we'll also continue to share and bring in some of the knowledge. I can't wait till we come back after next week. Now there will be another podcast next Wednesday, mm-hmm. but after that we're going to have some great shares coming from a lot of the individuals that are going to be up on stage, pouring to all those couples that are showing up for the Married into Crazy Winter Ball and Marriage Conference.
That's right.
So until the next time.
Be blessed.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. Please like, subscribe to, and review the show wherever you access it, and tell a friend about us. Visit marriedintocrazy.com and see how Snooks and Lovey can bless your marriage directly.